Hello, everyone, and welcome to RHAP. I'm your host, Taran Armstrong, and we are here today to talk about a new show, a very exciting new show, where 6 YouTubers have all been convinced that they are the mole. And I'm very excited to talk about it with my co-host, Sasha. How you doing, Sasha?
So good. Call me Miss Terry from now on because what a fun concept we're gonna dive into.
Yes, and joining us here to talk about the first episode of this new show, it's none other than Rob Cesternino. How you doing, Rob?
I'm so excited to be here to talk about a new show where they have greatly improved upon the existing mole that we're podcasting about.
Yes,
How do they get away with that?
if you're watching
Ooh.
The Mole, this is definitely a better version.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not
This makes
easily
more sense.
replicable.
Yeah.
But
Listen, yeah, let's explain what's going
yes.
on here, Terry.
So here's what's happening. If you are an RHAP listener, stay tuned because this is
Yes.
genuinely a very exciting strategic concept for a show, as well as an entertaining concept for a show. If you are not an RHAP listener, then this is what we're talking about. We are going to be reacting to and sort of recapping every episode of this show called The Getaway. It is made by a brilliant team of game designer, show creator, YouTubers, video content creators, Sam Denby, Adam Chase, and Ben Doyle, who have in the past made, or not in the past, they are continuing to make the show Jetlag, which does air on YouTube, and Nebula, which is a video platform that we will talk about very shortly. So Jetlag has done very well. It's a really cool show. It's basically like The Amazing Race combined with Taskmaster, and it's like a better version of, at the very least, The Amazing Race.
Okay. It just has more personality. All right, everyone. That's how we'll say it.
And I really appreciate what these guys do because I think they bring such a fresh take on reality competition. And I think there are a few things that are really good. They really care about game design, and if you know me at all, you know I really care about game design. So I really appreciate how they design their games. Two, I think they're very like open and honest and like um straightforward about presenting their content. So like these are not like reality TV producers who are trying to deceive you and like trick you into thinking that these two people are neck and neck, but actually one of them was like a day behind. Like if something happens the way it happens, they will try their best to present it in an entertaining way without being dishonest about how it happened. Which is, I think, another very cool thing about how they make their shows. And so,
It's something that is not part of the mole on Netflix.
Yeah.
exactly the mole, where like every single task comes down to the last few seconds, right? Like,
That was very close. It was very close.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Even the traders, right? Same thing. Did the challenge really only take an hour? But also to add to just this piece, I think even when the game quote unquote breaks or doesn't work in the way that would be ideal, the game design is still fascinating and it's still good enough to where we're on the journey and it's still an entertaining confusion mess that maybe doesn't have the best payout, but just the way it's designed still helps it all.
yeah. And so, I think they're doing things that are like far beyond what a lot of more established sort of network reality game shows are doing and are able to do, really. And so now they have created the show called The Getaway. Now, this is an exclusive to Nebula. Nebula is a video platform that is subscription based. So what that means is that they don't have to like formulate everything for the YouTube algorithm. Like they can call it episode one instead of, you know, these YouTubers were tricked into whatever, which may or may not be the title of this video.
Which is why you
'Cause
clicked
we're
on
YouTube.
this video.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they can edit it however they want. And so Nebula is a huge driver of how they're able to make these shows. They get funded through Nebula. And so, you should really, if you watch Jetlag or, want to support them, go to Nebula, subscribe to the platform. It's like $5 a month.
Yeah.
It's pretty cheap.
Taran, the thing that I was a little confused of when I first heard about Nebula, I thought it was like Patreon, which, we've been on Patreon for 10 years on RHAP, and I thought that you were subscribing to their Nebula. But what's cool about Nebula is that you subscribe once, and it's like a streaming service that you get everything. So it's not like that you can watch everything else that's on there. It's not like you just are subscribing only for one show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's kind of like a streaming service for online content.
Yeah.
A ton of really massive YouTubers are on there. It's a place where they can upload YouTube videos, again, that don't have to fit the YouTube algorithm, but also don't have to deal with like the YouTube copyright system. So they're able to sort of like, if you like video essays, I love video essays about like shows and movies. There are a lot of creators that aren't able to showcase as much of that content because they'll get flagged for certain things. They're able to upload that on Nebula and not have to worry about it. So it's actually genuinely like a great place to go. And even if you're just subscribing for this show, I think that's also a perfectly reasonable thing to do because I think this show is very cool. So with that said, let's talk about the show. The basic premise here, if you've seen The Mole, I think it's most comparable to that. On The Mole, there's a bunch of cast members. They're all competing to like add to a prize pot.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. And one of them is secretly the mole who is trying to sabotage them and prevent them from adding to their prize pot. And the more the mole sabotages, theoretically, the more the mole should make, but it doesn't always exactly correspond that way because they don't do game design that well. So in this show, they're setting it up like that's the premise. They're setting it up like, here's our version of the mole. And so they have these 6 YouTubers who I actually like. They're great content creators themselves. Dan Toomey, Patch Lacey, Georgia Dow, Matt Kroll, Foreign Man in a Foreign Land, and Stephen Bridges. I actually knew a couple of them before even seeing the show. They're cool people. They are competing to take $10,000 from essentially one place to another. That's like the road trip aspect of it. But along the way, they're going to have to do some challenges in order to maintain their prize money. And they have been told that amongst them is a snitch. A snitch over the snitch being an important distinction.
I bet Sasha hates snitches.
They do
Just in
get
general.
stitches. It's true. Listen, when they said snitch, I was like, oh, interesting wording. Because I hate them. I want to fight like annoying people. They just sound like pipsqueaks. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
this is fun.
And so the snitch pipsqueak is their goal is to sabotage the challenges and take money away from the loyal players prize pot and move it into the snitches prize pot because it's like basically you just steal from one and add to the other. But the twist is that all of them are snitches and they all think that there's only one. So they all think that they are the special role of the season, that they are the star of the season, and that they are the snitch, and that they will be doing like sabotaging and trying to fit in. But meanwhile, they're all the snitch.
This is literally my worst nightmare. Like when I think I'm the main character and like slap in your face, I'm not. I'm
Yeah.
actually just basic.
Well, there's an aspect of that probably to every single reality show that every person who's on the show thinks that they're the main character when they're playing the game and like making the show. And so that happens actually on every show. But what I love so much about this is that it really feels like a throwback to shows like the Joe Schmo show where the production is letting you in on this secret. And then there's also this element of, can the production pull this off also? So they really do a great job of like taking you behind the scenes of how are they pulling off making 6 different people think that they are the only saboteur.
Yeah, so it's this cool sort of like dual presentation
Mhm.
of this is the game and the contestants, and they're playing these challenges, trying to not get caught as a snitch, and then also voting each other out, which is another like cool, fun thing. But then also, and they differentiate these two sort of perspectives with like a different color grade, which is fun. But then also, it's the production side, like how can we make sure we keep the secret for them? And also like live reactions to them talking and being like, "Oh my god, it's so funny that this is happening." That like oh, this person is, like, oh, they're thinking that they're getting away with this, but really all of them are. And so you have these like dual perspectives, and then at the end of this first episode, we got to see that like it revealed, and my first thought was like, oh, that's funny, that's like the Joe Schmo show. It will be funny to watch these YouTubers think they're special and then find out that everyone is the snitch. What a joke, fun concept for the show. But I talked about this. These guys are game designers. Like they understand game design. And so they designed this game to still function as a game, even though it is also kind of a prank, right? And so the reality is, and Adam describes this in the first episode, that like there is still a game to this. If they could figure out that they're all snitches, then they could actually just all work together to increase the snitch prize pool. But they're also busy trying to convince each other that they're not the snitch, that they're not adding to their own prize money. Um, and there's different like elements to how the social game works when you think that you are the snitch and that you should be operating under a certain premise, that like, oh, I need to either convince people that this person is a snitch or whatever the case may be. In reality, as the snitch, you want to keep people that are bad at challenges, but you also want to pin them as the snitch. And so there's a lot of actual like interesting game mechanics and incentives that come along with the strategy, the social strategy of this game. So uh, that is kind of like the descriptor here, and it's very intriguing to me. And also, having watched this first episode, very fun.
I'd love to hear. Yeah, Rob, this is like your first time, right? Diving into all of this and meeting all these characters and even the jet lag team. So how what were your thoughts? Like how are you vibing with this?
Yeah, I thought this was super fun. I loved the presentation, and I thought that the format was just really, really fun. And I love how they're taking you on this journey of like the ways that they're preparing and rehearsing things so that the none of the snitches think that anything is up. The thing that I would really, from the perspective of anybody who's playing the game, that I'm just trying to think of like if I would be able to catch on to the fact that maybe that there are other potential snitches, and how would you even handle that without, because I feel like that at some point, some level, you wouldn't want to break the show. Like I don't think that you would want to, like, you feel like some loyalty to the people that
Not
are making
Taran.
it. Well, I think that you would like, oh, I don't know, am I allowed to do this?
I
Like,
would very, if I started to suspect it, I would go to Sam and Adam and Ben and be like, guys, is are there more? Like that's
yeah.
like I agree. I wouldn't want to break. I would go to them first to like ask.
Because from the perspective of the players, the game that they're playing, I don't know if they would think was like that particularly interesting. Of the one person is like trying to get things wrong and then make the team lose money. Like I feel like that, but there's a twist, right? Like
Well,
that's been done a million times before.
I think that's kind of like the brilliance of having them all think that they are the special character, is that like
Mhm.
I think they will feel like this show is about me and I'm carrying
Hmm.
it, right? And so I feel like there's a little bit less of like the concept, the less of like a driving force to make you think about beyond your role of like, I'm trying not to get caught. I'm trying to also be good for the show. It's
Because
hard
it's
to, I think,
my
think beyond
show.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. I think because I think I'm a rule follower in that I wouldn't try to be like, "Oh, let me gamify this. Like, here's what you've given me. Let me just work with it." And I think the fact that I am the main character, right? Like, out of 6 people, I am the main. So why would I ruin my own show, right? That's how I would notice it.
Mhm.
That's why I wouldn't try to mess with things too much because I still want
Yeah.
my content. I still want the spotlight on me. Maybe I give a few confessionals here and there to be like, maybe there's more than one. Ha ha ha. I would do it just to do it so I don't sound dumb. Like there's just certain confessionals I feel like you have to give so you don't sound stupid. You could be right or wrong. That's on you.
Yeah.
And I think what's really cool about this is that if they do ever catch on, the show doesn't end. The game
Yeah.
doesn't end. It doesn't break anything necessarily. It just evolves into something else. And it could be really exciting to watch one person figure it out and then realize, oh, this changes the way
Mhm.
that I can play the game. And I can maybe win this in a more effective way now that I know what's actually happening. And do you share that with other people or do you keep it to yourself? Like, I think there's still a lot of room for like exciting television.
Yeah, and if somebody like is onto you, you could get that person voted out too.
That
Yep.
I agree. I think that it's still gonna be a final 2.
Mhm.
So it
Mhm.
doesn't matter actually if people figure it out or not. Funny enough, if you figure it out, you gotta just keep your mouth shut because if everyone figures it out, it becomes too nice, right? Like, "Oh, no, we're all the snitch, and now I just have to vote you out because I don't like you," right? Like, there's no other
I feel
reason.
like there's all kinds of different strategies that
Yeah.
you could operate under if you figure out the twist where, like, maybe you go to one person and you say, like, "Listen, I know you're the snitch, but I don't care. Like I'm willing to work with you." You know, like, there's all kinds of different, like,
That's
wild
what I
ideas
would
of,
do,
like, things
yes.
that you could try. Um So I think it's a really cool concept, and I think the first episode definitely like delivered in a way that was entertaining by itself, but also promises so much more in the
Mhm.
future. So
Season
let's
2, there's no snitch. What do you think of that?
right.
There has to be. They have to change it up completely.
I mean, that's what
When
happened to Joe
Taran
Schmo in
goes
season
on,
two.
we'll
Is the
know.
one of the people caught on? They tried to repeat the concept, and it
Mhm.
didn't quite work.
Yeah.
Um, so episode 1, they get together. The first challenge, after, like, driving them through, like, a racetrack,
Oh,
I
that was
got excited
so
about.
Yeah. Is it worth just setting up that there's supposed to be a like stealing money from Vegas? It's so that's like the concept of the show that they stole $10,000. There's like a Carmen
Mhm.
Sandiego type that like calls them on the phone and gives them instructions.
Okay, did y'all know Carmen Sandiego was bad? I just figured that out, like, last week.
What?
What do you mean?
Okay, I
Did,
thought she was just, like, a baddie that, like, everyone just needed to be friends with.
can it be both?
Wait, isn't she
Okay.
like a thief?
Okay, I didn't know that she was a thief. I really thought that she's just, like, a hot girlie that people are
Just
trying
everyone
to, like,
wants to
follow.
find the
Yeah.
hot girly. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
did not know
Where in the world is a girl like Carmen Sandiego
exactly.
for a guy like me?
This F for a girl like me. What do you mean? Oh my gosh, I did not know she was bad, but I mean, Miss Terry is amazing and
Mhm.
my new bestie. I don't know about y'all.
Yeah, great presence, I think. And I love that, like, there's a little bit of like back and forth. I don't know exactly how they're doing like the voice in real time, but like
To a
it feels
rotary phone.
you're right. It feels very
No,
seamless of whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
Like Dan answering the phone constantly and being like, "What?" Like, it's
Mhm.
great.
Yeah.
oh my gosh. Yeah,
At the
Rob
end of
has
the
to
episode, they
tell
get
us.
yelled at. I loved it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you have the most reality show experience. So you
Uh, Sasha, you think we had a phone on Survivor?
I don't know. I mean, you have
Yeah,
cameras.
coconut phone, right? That's
Coconut phone. We had a refrigerator, but we didn't. No phones.
It went up in the fire. It's okay.
Hmm.
But I don't know. I really enjoyed all of it. I must say, even this is why I enjoy seeing the production aspect of it, right? Like it shows that, oh, they're human, they're practicing. How do we say all the right things? Because Ben was like, so is it the snitch or a snitch? And Sam in the background when they're rehearsing all this is like, I don't know. It doesn't matter. And then cut to Georgia, a therapist, right? Like actually asking the right question. And then Georgia messes herself up because she talks too much and she says, is it a snitch, the snitch, or does it matter? Sam goes, thank you. It doesn't matter. That part. You said it,
It's a
not
master
me.
class.
Yeah, so I really enjoy the background of it. And then when they're driving past the raceway, I said that raceway is expensive. I don't know if y'all have seen how much it costs to drive one lap in that thing. So I was like,
I
what
have not.
budget? Yeah, I have. And the budget must be outrageous for 6. So I appreciate that they're just going to a little trivia show. And can we talk about again the setup of the trivia? It's not vibes only. They all it is based on each person and their
Mhm.
knowledge. So you cannot throw, or you can't make it obvious that you're throwing because
It's harder to throw, yeah.
yeah, you're in it's in your wheelhouse. It's what you make content about. Embarrassing.
Yeah, I love,
So
Foreign just being like, "Everyone knows I know a lot about the manosphere." So, I obviously know that Andrew Tate was on Big Brother.
Well, if somebody didn't see what we're talking about, one of the first questions that comes up is that Andrew Tate gained popularity on what reality show? And it's like
Mhm.
Millionaire, they have like 4 choices. And so I was like, I have no idea.
oh,
But
I
it
Oh.
knew it
turns
was
out
Big Brother. Yeah.
that
Oh, yeah.
Andrew Tate was on Big Brother.
Yep.
Is that how Matt learned about him, Taran?
Oh!
Was that who he watched for all of his game tips?
Unfortunately, I don't think so. I think Matt found him via other means.
Oh my god.
Would have been better if he found him through Big Brother, I think.
Imagine Matt seeing 1 minute of Big Brother. Imagine.
I had no idea.
Yeah, he was kicked off.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah.
He was like a normie and then he went on Big Brother, or
I
he was
think
already
he was-
like
No,
famous.
it was UK Big Brother, right? So
Yeah,
they're
it was UK.
all it's all oops, all celebrity
I
always.
think it was the celebrity edition. I think he was
Got
like
it.
a
Yeah.
fighter or something.
Because they have
Mhm.
a regular editions
Yeah,
of
they
UK Big
do.
Brother. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. India also Big Boss also is oops, all celebrities.
Mhm.
That's why I always think but whew,
Yes.
wild.
So I did think it was very funny. I think it actually maybe wasn't the celebrity edition. I think he was just on the
Wait, are you
regular.
serious?
Mhm.
Big Brother 17. Yeah, I think just straight up Big Brother 17.
Oh yeah, because it's
Um,
yeah.
but then things happened. It's,
Mhm.
listen, I think Big Brother UK actually has a worse track record than Big Brother US when it comes to producing
Correct.
Yeah.
misogynists.
And that's saying a lot,
That's
y'all.
saying a lot.
What is wrong with us? Okay, we move. Okay, no, I can't. This is not an Andrew Tate podcast.
Mhm. Well, so here's what happens, right? They all try to get the first question right because that is, I think, the correct strategy
Yes.
if you are a single snitch, right? But theoretically, it's also the correct strategy if you are not a snitch. So like you're trying to play as if you're not a snitch. And what what they talk about is that like if they knew they were all snitches, then they could just all happily get them wrong because in a way, getting the question wrong is performing better for all of them, but they don't know that. And so they are performing better by doing the wrong thing
Yes.
because right now the social bubble around them is
Yeah.
wrong, and so they're doing the wrong thing, but it's the right thing for them in this moment.
Well, something that the Getaway has over any version of the mole is at least the Getaway explicitly says that the money that goes into the snitch pot ends up getting, and I think that they end up giving it to each of the snitches that make it to the final 2. So at least we have some stakes here of
Right.
what's in it for the snitch, which we still 20 years in have no idea what's in it for the mole.
So
Do they get a
stupid.
bonus?
I'm sure, right? To me, the mole should get like at least a task-based bonus, right? Every time you mess up, you get, this X, Y, and Z, whatever that may be, or you get to split the pot in half, like whatever the winnings are. If you win 10,000, the mole automatically actually gets 5. If
Mhm.
the mole
Mhm.
did, and give them all random tasks to do.
And it wouldn't kill them to give that to the traders too.
Yep.
Oof.
Same thing with the traders. There's no reason for the traders to do anything but like happily help with the
Traders,
challenges.
it pays to be stupid.
Mhm.
So,
Oh my
so they all go through the first question, except for okay, and this is I think if I have one small critique
A
for episode
qualm?
one,
Mhm.
one small qualm, it's that while I did know some of these YouTubers prior to this episode, I did have trouble remembering some of their names
Same,
of
yes.
like who is who. And so I can't even tell you which named. I think it was Steven. I think Steven gets his first
Oh, yes,
question
he
wrong.
does. Steven, the
That's the
card
blackjack
counting
question. Yeah.
yes, Steven, the card counting Jesus is what they called him, at the start of the episode, so
And this is another part of like what I think is interesting about both these creators and this show, where like Adam straight up says like, "Oh yeah, we kind of messed up. We thought he would know this, and as he mentioned, like they didn't know enough about card counting to know that he didn't actually know this."
and, it's really interesting because we get the executive producer, right, specifically say, "No, he spent the day yesterday telling us about this," so we just assumed he'd know pretty immediately. We don't get that on any other reality show. Why? Just give us a little chyron at the bottom, right? Like, oh, production thought he would understand this. It's funny. It makes us build a relationship with production. So guess what? We're less likely to talk bad about you if we have a relationship with you. So I appreciate them like showing their oops because it just makes it funnier. I don't think it's like takes anything away. We're not like, oh, pitchforks. We're so mad for Steven. No, we're just like, this is hilarious. They really thought Steven would know this because he was yapping, but the yapping didn't work.
Mhm. So this gets him in some hot water because getting the first question wrong. Again, I think in a world where there really only is one snitch,
Mm-hmm.
this isn't as damning because his argument does make some sense. Like if I were the actual snitch, why would I have gotten the first question wrong? That's not a good strategy for me. I'm the only person. He went last too. I'm the only
Yes.
Mhm.
person to get one wrong, and I went last, and I know I'm the only person to get one wrong. If I'm the snitch, there's no way in the world I'm doing that. But because they're all snitches, they don't care how good his argument is. They know he's not the snitch in their own minds.
Mhm.
They just know that it's a good excuse to put a target on him. And so again, like the incentives and the way that the social strategy works is all so like like interesting and messy. So this gets him in a lot of hot water that he doesn't know the answer to this question.
And again, the juxtapositioning, right, of all of them, you're like, blah, it's Steve, it's this. I'm gonna get Steven. He's the snitch, right? Meanwhile, in confessionals, while Steven is like, I think they get it. I think they understood that I had a hard question. And everyone else is like, it doesn't matter. We're zeroing in on Steven. Bless his heart.
Mhm. So then they get to the second round, and this is where Matt,
Patch and Foreign.
yes, they are going to attempt it now. Patch, it fully is just like I'm getting this right again. Like
Yeah, they had to
I,
pick 3 people
Yes.
who were going to be their best question answerers for $300 a question.
mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And a Patch, I think it's the correct strategy for trying to not be voted out right now, and trying to not be sussed out as the snitch
Yes.
to get this question right. Um, but theoretically, if he was able to figure out that everyone is actually also the snitch, then maybe he would have wanted to get it wrong. But again, he gets it right, so he's safe. Foreign gets it wrong, or doesn't know it, but
Yeah.
spins the wheel.
Can we just stop down on the foreign man question?
Mhm.
Yes.
Of which of these Disney movies has the question has not?
Yeah. Which of the
As-
following Disney films has not been adapted to include a warning about its racist themes?
Okay. So you have Dumbo.
Mhm.
The
I knew Dumbo was.
Aristocats.
Yes.
See, I didn't know
I
about
actually
Dumbo.
knew the answer. Yeah.
So okay, Aristocats. I think I did know that one. That
The
was the one I
Siamese
did
cat.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, the cats.
Mhm.
And Farm Man didn't even think that Aristocats was a real movie. So that
Which
that
is
was fake.
wild.
Peter Pan or Beauty and the Beast. They never told us the answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Sasha, what is it?
The answer is Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah,
because
that's the
Dumbo,
most recent one.
Yeah, Dumbo
What
is
happened on Peter Pan?
the Native American. They
Oh.
call them the Washington football team's name.
Mhm.
And Dumbo has a literal crow named Jim Crow.
Mhm.
And Aristocats has Siamese
Yeah.
cats.
There you go.
So
Can
I say
Oh,
Tarantino?
and Beauty and the Beast has bestiality. Also.
Listen, exactly. They're all white.
I mean, it wouldn't
animals.
kill them to slap a label on that one. Also.
And the thing is, Beast, weirdly, when he transforms into the prince, you're just like, oh, then all of a sudden we're all into the Beast. It's a very confusing movie.
Mhm.
But I will say, Taran, to your original point, right? I didn't know what each person's expertise was. This is why I said, now why did you give the black man the racism question? That's crazy. Then I looked him up and I
he
said,
does,
oh,
yes.
this is his content.
Very much
I'm
in line
back,
with the
baby.
content he creates.
Because like, that would have been mine. Why'd you give the Asian girl? Like, that's what I would have said. But it was really funny.
Well, this is pretty relevant too, though, because I think Foreign Man makes a
Yes.
very strong case
So
for
good.
why he could not be the snitch, which is like, you really think these
Shut
3 white dudes are gonna
4.
cast me as the only
Oh.
No, Sam
the only
did
black
that.
man on the cast and make me the snitch?
Y'all know I would 1000% do that. Like, that's exactly
Mhm.
what I'm doing.
I mean, it's
or
pretty
the
good
woman.
meta logic, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say so. The only woman, the Asian, you want to call me sneaky? Didn't we just say the Aristocats had a label on it? Now you want the Getaway to have a racism label on it? Is that what you want? Oh my gosh, I would milk it. The world tokenizes me enough. It's time for us to rise up, baby. Let's do it to ourselves.
Yeah.
It was so good.
I think what's really interesting about that is that, like, I do think that it puts Foreign in a really strong social position.
Yes.
Because it's a very convincing argument. And even though they are all snitches and know or in their minds that he's not the snitch, that it's going to be hard to create an argument to vote him out on the basis that he is a snitch when he has such a strong argument against it. More sort of complexity to that end of the strategy for
The
sure.
thing is, for well-meaning white people, like, who are allies and on your side, this is the best argument because they wouldn't, they can't, they just, it's like on their heart to be like, oh, well, is that my internalized right? No, baby, everyone's the snitch. That's
Well,
the
I think the case you would make is like, obviously I wouldn't have done that, but Adam, Ben, and Sam, who knows? Like, I don't know what kind of.
That's why it's perfect. They would never think it was you.
Exactly.
But I would be like, but I think that's y'all's implicit bias to like double back the game because in your mind you're just zeroing on the only. That's wild, man.
But Sasha, you failed every task.
Because I'm not good. What do you mean aristocrats exist? I was worried about bestiality. See, there's ways, okay? There's always ways to play the token card. But I will say this is my only knock on the show, which I don't know how you fix it. I'm not a casting person. It's like the diversity is definitely lacking. And I don't just mean like color or gender, like age wise as well. So I just wanted to make that note.
Yeah.
That's all.
Well, we get through the trivia then. Matt sort of intentionally spikes his question. It seems as though he's kind of like the only one that like really intentionally does this. And actually also spins the wheel and gets the wrong outcome.
Not just spins the wheel. Did y'all
He rubs the money.
The snitch part. Oh, but this is what happened. I don't think he didn't do it on purpose. I don't because he says he did it unintentionally, or the voiceover did. I think hilarious faux pas. Hilarious.
And so this is like a big reason to potentially put a target on Matt and then Steven as well as the other person who lost money has a target on his back. And so they drive them out to the donkey museum.
Yeah, is this real? A donkey museum?
Nevada, this is still in Nevada, I think, but has
I
like
assume so.
hilarious weird things. Like it's
How do you know all this, Sasha? All these bachelorette parties that you're always at?
You know, I'll be out here.
Yeah. Let's go to the Speedway and then we'll hit the Donkey Museum.
No, the Speedway like is legit. Like because it is a gift, I think one day, like I want to afford for my husband who likes F1 stuff. So that's why. But no, the Donkey Museum, I just looked it up. They have like Meow Wolf, like Beowulf. Sorry, which one is that? Interactive
Meow Wolf.
Meow Wolf, sorry. And all that. Like if you leave the strip, there's a bunch of cool stuff to do.
Yeah. I thought the Donkey Museum was very fun. And honestly, I thought every
Republican
scene
headquarters. Why?
that was Dan. So Dan Toomey it was, I think, incredibly funny throughout the entire episode. Just like, so if you haven't seen his channel, he does like this sort of like news presentation where he's
News
like
AF, yeah.
like standing in the streets of like New York, but like on the other side of the street, like here today we're doing, and he's dressed in like an oversized like trench coat. It's very funny. And that it felt like I was getting that vibe from him in the entire thing where like he was constantly just like looking at the camera like he couldn't believe that he was in the middle of a social game. Like every time he was like pulled away, he was like, wait, are we really doing this? Like, are we really gonna be making alliances and voting each other? Like really?
Dan, what show did Dan think he was on? Oops, mole, no snitch. Dan is very much in the snitches get stitches mindset. So he's saying, I'm saying nothing. I'm just here for vibes. Dan, who were we gonna vote out if we weren't gonna talk about it, Dan?
Right.
That was my question. Because why is he calling out? Oh, look at them. There's only 6 of y'all. We've been mad at Survivor because there's nowhere for people to hide with tribes.
Small tribes.
Yeah, that's all I could think of.
Can I join the
again.
group again, guys? I want to come back.
I don't want to mastermind. What?
And then Foreign calling out like, "Hey, you're a smooth talker from New York." I'm not even from New York.
Oh my god, I don't know what I'm telling you. Dan thought he was on The Bachelor or Bachelorette. I'm just here to make friends.
And then I also thought that Georgia was very funny, where like she was like making the plan with Steven about like you take this person, I'll try to do this, and then then she gets to the group and they ask her, and she just immediately like, I guess I'll just be honest. This is also, you two are friends, and that makes me uncomfortable.
They know each other.
It's so funny just like watching people completely new to like social strategy games, like.
But she's a therapist, you know, so like you would think that there's a little bit better way
I
to
think
manipulate
that's maybe what, like, I think she's just used to like open, honest communication.
Oh,
right?
I didn't even think of that. I'm like, use your powers for bad. Right. Your powers for
I'm really curious to see how they evolve as social strategy players throughout the course of the game.
Yeah, what are you doing with a Dan? If you're on the traders, hashtag get Rob on the traders. What are you doing with a Dan, Rob?
I mean, somebody that doesn't really know the game super well. I mean, the idea is, I think you try to like get them in your pocket. Like, if you can, like, hey, I'll show you the ropes. It doesn't always, work out so great, but I think that that's sort of like on paper. So you started like try to recruit them.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's what Georgia and Steven were trying to do. He doesn't want to be recruited.
Yeah.
He's in the Mean Girls, right? Where why can't at the end where she's like saying all her feelings, I just want us all to be friends and hug each other. And then you're like, doesn't even go here. He just wanted to see the donkeys. That's all it was.
Yeah, well, ultimately they do just kind of make this out in the open that it's like Steven versus Matt. And they both make their cases. I do think that Steven presents a better case here, in general. And then they vote with like little poker chips.
Yeah. I like the presentation on the screen in
Mhm.
terms of like the counting. I like that we had like the votes that had already been cast up on the screen. So that they did that in a good way.
Yes, I will say this is where my criticism came in because for me at least, and this is perhaps a me problem, but when I was seeing the votes come in, I was like, "Oh damn, wait, which one is which?"
Yeah.
And I was trying to figure out which one was Steven and which one was Dan or Matt based on their reactions to the votes. I was like,
Mhm.
"Okay, the redheaded guy looks upset about that one. So he's probably Matt." And then, like, it wasn't until Dan like puts his hand on Matt's shoulder that I was like, okay, no, okay, he's the one that just got voted.
Yeah.
Steven has the accent. That's what helps me
Well,
keep
I
them
think now
apart.
now that we're doing this podcast, I think I'll know.
Would it
Because
help
like
to have
we're
a
Yeah.
really
face on the chip?
Ooh, yes.
that
At
would have
least
been
in the
nice.
graphic. At least in the graphic.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just on the
Um,
graphic.
yeah, I think maybe just a slight reset on like who these people are as they're being voted for. I may
I
even just like a cut in on like one of their maybe they didn't have that coverage, but like yeah, graphics I think could have helped as well.
also
Yeah.
I would love the like, yeah, Steven the card shark, like at all times, at least first full episode.
I am unclear about what Matt does. He got a question about like uh
Oh, I have it written down.
capitals.
1 second, because I wrote this down. Gamer.
Oh,
That's how he was introduced to us.
yeah, I'm not sure why he gets a question about like
History, but he got
yeah.
it.
What game is he playing?
Yeah,
Oh.
oh
Where in
maybe
the
he's
world is
playing
Carmen
GeoGuessr.
Diego? Yeah.
National Treasure? Is he
Um
Nicolas Cage? What?
I think this is like a first episode issue that will very quickly
Yeah.
be resolved as the show moves further. Um but
Can we
ultimately it is going to be Matt that leaves with his own friend voting
thank
him out.
you. Oof, I was Patch, cold-blooded, and I love
Ice
it.
cold.
Yeah.
B Patch, please can you do Big Brother? Can you show Pat, Georgia, please,
I mean, but this is
immediately.
potentially the strength of Georgia's openness is that she called them out as friends, and then I think maybe he was just kind of like, okay, well, I don't want that kind of heat. If
I
it's got to be
love
one of us, I'd rather it be him. I'm the
Mhm.
snitch.
yeah, and me, self-preservation, that's the thing. I just miss when shows and characters were self-obsessed, and they cared about themselves staying longer in the game.
I
What
think there's also perhaps, and it would be interesting to talk to Patch about it, but there's perhaps something to the idea of like, if you think you're the only snitch and you
Mhm.
have somebody that you are friends with, you're closer to, like, they're gonna be able to read you a lot better, I think, than strangers.
Mhm.
And so there's maybe a part of him that's just like, I gotta get him out of here before he realizes I'm the snitch because he will know.
He knows me well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think you're also probably afraid to go against the consensus, to go against the
Mhm.
group here.
Yeah.
Also, potentially, if he knew what the votes were going to be, to then, he switches his vote and makes it a 3-3 tie. Anything could happen then at that point. So I think that if you're trying to like keep your cover, it's
Yep.
probably better just to go with the flow.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and I think that's basically what he said in the episode, right? It was like, "I'm still working to present myself
Mhm.
as, like, a faithful, like, non-snitch player." And that was very much in line with how he played the first game. And I think if I were playing this and I thought I was the snitch, I would be playing it like he is in terms of, like, especially in the beginning, just full on everything I do is as if I'm not the snitch. I don't know if I'd vote out my friend because I do think that numbers are very valuable, but I don't know what the relationship actually is, so, like, who knows? Um, so a very fun first episode, then they bring Matt in and they reveal to him the secret, which I think is very fun. I love that we're gonna get, like, reveals theoretically, like, every episode, or at least after every, like, vote out. And it was funny too because like, they didn't quite explain this, but I feel like I was able to maybe interpret from context that he was like, "All right, so what now? You said there were contingencies, like, you dragged me out here to do this show. I'm not going to be here for a day. Like what am I going to do now?
I love because you could tell that Matt was genuinely like stressed. That he's like, "Oh my god, the
I ruined
show
the
is
show.
broke." Yeah, what happened now? I just played it too much like the snitch, mind you.
Mhm.
They're all the snitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he had a great reaction. Believe it was UMFers.
Yep.
Yes.
It was such
was
a
great.
like the way that his face, like it was you just read it all over his face, like the way he took it in, had to think about it for a second, and then realized, oh, that's what they're doing.
Yeah. And so from what I understand, then they're going that Matt is now going to be a part of the ruse here, but I don't know how they're going to use the evicted players to try to help sell this.
Yeah, I wonder if he's just like maybe they just keep him around to like watch and react throughout the thing. Maybe they'll, use him in some way moving forward, or maybe I don't know. Maybe he does just kind of like go home from here. I'm not entirely sure, but like I think there is definitely like opportunity to continue to because I think the behind the scenes is a storyline in and of itself, and so what's cool about being able to like take these big characters and pull them out of the game is that they can then theoretically join the behind the scenes team and be a part of like reacting to things and being like, oh my god, if I had known, then I would have could have done this or like stuff like that. So I don't know. I'm very curious to see how this develops in the second episode, but it was a very fun way to end the episode. I thought on you mother.
Not you beeping. Get out
Hey,
of
it's almost Big Brother season, Sasha. Taran's gonna get the censor button out.
here.
Yeah.
Listen, they bleeped our podcast for a hot second. I get it.
All right.
Oh,
Well,
man.
again, genuinely fun first
Mhm.
episode. I think we certainly talked a lot about it. But there was a lot of setup in order to sort of explain what this show is. I'm very excited to talk more about it in the future. Hopefully, we'll have some fun kind of content for you guys along the way. Maybe have some of the guys who make the show come on to talk about it a little bit along the way as well. We will see. But honestly, I'm just excited to watch it. I just think I'm excited to see anything these guys do because I really think they make great stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Agreed.
it was a great premiere. Looking forward to seeing how they stick the landing on this thing.
Yeah. All right. Well, stay tuned then. Next week we'll be back to talk about episode 2. And again, maybe some other stuff along the way. Who knows? But that's what we have for you today. If you you like this kind of coverage, and you like watching reality shows, believe me, we've got you covered. Name a reality competition show. We probably have a podcast about it. But in particular, of course, Big Brother is starting up soon. The U.S. version, not the Andrew Tate version. Um,
You
Which
never
might
know. A lot of times there's a crossover.
yeah. So tune in for our coverage of that soon. And plenty of Survivor coverage and all that stuff. Sasha covers some great shows as well.
Yeah, if you're wanting to know pop culture, fun things, check out Mess Magnets, which is Rob has a website /mess feed, and Below Deck. Hello, if you want to know other reality TV that isn't competition, you just want to see rich people vibe out, check out Below Deck as well. And for everything else, yeah, just follow us and make sure you're in the know.
All right.
Yeah. And we're talking about all these reality shows, 52 weeks out of the year here on RHAP. So make sure you hit that subscribe button here on YouTube to get everything that we're covering. And looking forward to hearing from you in the comments.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining us here this week, and we will see all of you next time.